October 9th, 2012. Two gunmen enter a Pakistani school bus. They call out for Malala. Her classmates' eyes expose her identity. The gunmen fire at the 15-year-old girl. She is hit in the left side of her face. She is transported to Birmingham in critical condition. August 1833. Edward Covey entered the stable on his Maryland farm. He attempted to tie up his young slave, Frederick Douglass. Covey seized one of Douglass's legs. Douglass grabbed Covey by the throat. They struggled for almost 2 hours. Douglass was not whipped. Flash forward. July 12, 2013. Malala stands before the United Nations during the first UN Youth Takeover and delivers a speech empowering the girls of the world to seek their human right to education. Less than 1 year after the Taliban had tried to silence her, Malala spoke in front of the UN General Assembly. By trying to suppress her voice, they only amplified it and spread her message throughout the world. Beginning in 2009, at just the age of 12, after the Taliban had closed most schools in Swat Valley, Malala began blogging for BBC about her experience under this system of oppression, and from that point on, she spoke out against the Taliban on every media outlet she could access, focusing her attention on the right of Pakistani girls. Even when she became a target of the Taliban, she did not waver in her resolve to win education for herself and her peers. August 11, 1841. Douglass stands before a crowd of white abolitionists in Nantucket, Massachusetts as a free man. When his slaveholders had sought to break him, he refused to be broken, and in turn used the brutality he experienced as a slave to speak out against the oppressive system. Despite the inherent dangers that he faced as an African American man, during the 1850s, Douglass consistently traveled around giving speeches. Most notably, in 1852, Douglass delivered his 4th of July speech, where he boldly addressed the hypocrisy of the nation and asserted that independence is a celebration of liberty for white people, not for himself or the slaves still in bondage. When given the opportunity, Douglass bravely fought for his cause and his oppressed people. But what do these two figures, separated by time, space, and gender, have in common? What does a Pakistani girl fighting for education share with a 19th century former slave fighting for abolition? For one, as part of an oppressed people, they stand against their oppressors and serve as a powerful symbol of resistance. When Malala received threats from the Taliban, she could have hidden. When she was shot by the Taliban, she had the choice to retreat, to be silent, to give up. But instead, she spoke louder than ever to a world waiting to listen. When Douglass endured the brutality of slavery under Covey, he could have abandoned his quest for freedom. He could have accepted his conditions as a slave. He could have been broken. When he fled slavery, he had the choice to go into hiding, but he didn't. When given the choice, Malala and Douglass decided to share their personal stories to aid and oppress people. Facing the evils of systems meant to suppress them, they found their voices and refused to be silent. The power of their personal stories does not come from their uniqueness, but from the groups of people their stories represent. As Malala said during her Nobel Peace Prize acceptance speech, "I tell my story not because it is unique, but because it is not. It is a story of many girls. I am those 66 million girls who are deprived of education. And today I am not raising my voice, it is the voice of those 66 million girls." Through the personal story, Malala and Douglass empower oppressed peoples and showed morality in the face of cruelty. The Taliban tried to break the minds of Pakistani girls by banning education, and the slaveholders in 19th century America sought to break the slave in mind, body, and spirit. However, Malala and Douglass refused to be broken and recognized what their oppressors feared most. As Malala said to the UN, "One child, one teacher, one pen, and one book can change the world."